1, 2, 3, 4.
Without science, we wouldn't have mobile phones, because mobile phones use what we call microwaves. Not microwaves as in kitchen utensils, microwaves as in genuine radiation that goes up to these satellites and back down to another phone. For example, like when Danny sat next to his girlfriend, he texts her. The message doesn't go straight to her phone, it goes from the phone to a satellite, all the way up in space and back down to her phone. And the thing about microwaves is we don't know if they do or do not cause cancer yet for humans. Since they've got them next to the head all the time, could cause brain cancer, we don't know. But, you know, it's a risk.
You may not know, but a simple car engine, just like this one, is actually incredibly dangerous. So if you think about it, there's what, more than 7 billion people in the world. So more than half of them have probably got a car. So let's say 4 billion people have got a car. They will be polluting the air every single day. Every single minute, pollution is being put into the air by car engines. And it affects environments such as trees, grass, and it also affects man-made environments such as buildings and other stuff like that. And to stop this, in every single car engine there has to be something called a catalytic converter. But basically that turns carbon monoxide, which is incredibly lethal and kills humans basically, into carbon dioxide, which still is bad, but it's not as bad as carbon monoxide. So, you know, you've got to think of it like this, you know. Would you rather have a car killing lots of humans, or would you have to destroy the environment to save all these humans? It's a hard decision for scientists to make, but it has to be like that, so, you know, just think about that.
If it weren't for science, we wouldn't have things like shower gel. Danny could get a shower. Because things like shower gels need to be tested on animals, like guinea pigs and monkeys. Mainly because their DNA is so close to humans. Because if we did not test them on animals, it could have really bad effect on humans, like it could lead to death or just simple skin rash. But even still, I mean, people have thought that testing on animals is very unfair. So it's bad. Actually, testing on animals for cosmetic reasons is banned in Europe. But testing on animals for reasons like, you know, medical reasons, like finding vaccinations for diseases, is still allowed. But when you think about it, would you rather lose a life of a guinea pig or a human? Someone you know?
Like your mother.
Could be anyone.
Without science, you wouldn't have things such as chihuahuas and any other dogs that you've got at home with unusual names. And that's because scientists invented something called crossbreeding. But basically, they got a great quality from one dog and a great quality from another dog, and made those two dogs mate and have offspring, which would have those two qualities into one animal. So if you kept doing this over years and years and years, you would eventually get the very best of those two qualities into one animal. And a good example of this would be a chihuahua, because it's gone through years and years and years of crossbreeding, and now it's so small that because of all this crossbreeding, now has to have its stomach cut up just so its offspring can be born. But because these animals, which they are crossbreeding, are in the same species, they can have children because they are still fertile, because they are from the same species in both dogs. But if you got something like a liger, which is a mix between a lion and a tiger, that animal there would not be able to have a child because it's not fertile, because its parents basically are from different species, so it cannot carry on with that same animal. You know, which is kind of a good thing, because we really want one of these roaming the streets.
Well, that's science. We wouldn't know what person's recommended daily amount really is. But it really does depend on how big you are, big and fat or small and skinny, or even how old you are. Because one person's daily amount could be completely different to the person sat next to you, or anything. But to really be healthy, you do need a mix of like carbohydrates, sugars, fibres, things like that, because if you don't, then yeah, you can get fat.
Great. Now, you probably all know that science is involved in video games and the making of video games, but what you probably don't know is exactly how much there is involved in it. And, you know, just like something simple as Kinect, you know, a lot of people have got it, and you might just think, yeah, it just copies your movement and puts it onto the TV, but it's actually a lot more intelligent and advanced than that. basically, what it does is there's 3 cameras on it, and most cameras send out infrared lights, and those infrared lights go at the speed of light, and they copy your movements in the speed of light, so you can't even see it's faster than a split second. And what it does then, it puts it on the TV, and because there's 3 cameras, there's lots of room for infrared lights to go, so it can copy exactly the living room and your exact structure. So it's actually quite intelligent and involves a lot of science. So if it wasn't for science, you wouldn't all be jumping around and jumping through hoops.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Without science, we wouldn't be able to realise that if, like Danny, for example, fell over and had a nasty cut, that a bug or bacteria, such as this one, would enter his body and his white blood cells would have to create like somewhat of an army to go and combat this bug. And scientists using this theory do the same thing to create vaccinations to get rid of diseases like smallpox, which they already have. And a long time ago, before scientists even used this, people used to die of things like common cold. But if a new strain of virus that killed off a lot of humans came in, it would be only up to the scientists to create a new vaccination to get rid of the bug.
From all the ones you've heard today, a few of them might shock you, but I think this one might shock you the most. Science has a massive part in sport, and you might be thinking, well, how is it? Well, you see, in football, the football boots, well, the scientists have invented a football boot, where basically a footballer will wear it for a couple of training sessions, and the football boot will actually mould to the shape of his foot, so that will make it a much more powerful shot, because it's adapted to his foot, and it will make it more accurate. And all this science in sport is actually quite relative to the Olympics this summer, because they've invented a new swimwear which is incredibly streamlined, so you can, it is like really well water resistant, and they can swim through the water a lot quicker, which will help the athletes win. And another great invention they've made is this ice cooling vest. Basically what it does, it's got a bunch of like ice packs all over this vest, and because the Olympics are in summer, athletes will be getting warm. So what we've done, we've got these ice packs so it'll keep the body at a certain temperature, so they won't be wasting energy on like trying to keep warm or trying to cool down, so we've got enough energy to win whatever game they're trying to win.
So basically, without science, you wouldn't have much to do. You wouldn't have an Xbox, there would be no PS3, dogs would be pretty boring and a lot of people would be dead. And Danny would be able to use his phone to talk to his girlfriend, he'd have to talk to girls with his mouth.
Everything on here that we've covered today is only on a minuscule scale of what is actually involved in Danny's life. You know, there's so much science involved in pretty much everything, and so next time you're in science, just think, you know, science is going to be involved for you in the rest
Of your life.
Of your life.
I'm sorry.
Science needs you, children. You need science.
I've got my baby. She's mighty fine and says she's all mine, and nothing's gonna bring me down.
Sorry.
If
Brad, sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows his scene.
Groove it! Let's go.
Let's do it, yo!
Now,
done. I'm telling you, it done.
It
Looks
does.
like a Weetabix. I'm not a Weetabix.
It does.